Good evening. I am Pastor Chris Stocks, and I pastor here at Holy Trinity. I welcome you. This is the third time we've had a candidate forum, and we are excited to do this with Chandler Pride to sponsor this. We are a welcoming and affirming congregation. I want you to know that as well. And now I'm going to hand it right over to Eduardo. Also, there's water in the back if you're warm, and men's room is that way, and ladies' room is that way.
Good evening. My name is Eduardo Schroeder. I am the founder of Chandler Pride, and one of the things that brings me a lot of pleasure doing is organizing this event. My job is to introduce our moderator. Her name is Sharon Younger, and I'm going to read her bio. She is the owner of Copper Summit Real Estate in Chandler and a respected leader known for her commitment to professionalism, equity, and community engagement. In her role within the real estate industry, she serves on the Professional Standards Committee, where she works to elevate ethical practices and accountability across the fields. Beyond her professional work, Sharon has been deeply involved in civic leadership. Her dedication to public service includes serving on the board of Chandler Pride since 2021. She also chaired the Human Relations Commission for the City of Chandler, and she now serves on the Housing and Human Services Commission for the city, contributing her insight to issues directly impacting the well-being of local residents. She has been a lifelong activist, championing the rights of the LGBT community and other underrepresented groups, and her work reflects steadfast belief in dignity, access, and opportunity for all. With her extensive experience, thoughtful leadership, and deep commitment to inclusive dialogue, Sharon brings a balanced and informed perspective to today's policy debate as moderator. Sharon.
Thank you. If I could just ask everybody before, thank you. Good job, candidates. If I could just ask everyone to turn their phones off, that would be very much appreciated. So good evening and welcome to the Chandler City Council Candidate Forum hosted by Chandler Pride. My name is Sharon Younger, and I will be moderating tonight's forum. In a moment, we'll be meeting the candidates, review the rules for this evening, and begin the forum. But first, I'd like to recognize the leadership of Chandler Pride, Eduardo Schroeder, president of the board, excuse me, Christine Wanger, not in attendance, Jordan Brown, Nathan Kemp, Dara Gibson, there she is, and myself. And everybody works really hard, so yes, for sure. Many thanks also to Pastor Christine Stockson and Holy Trinity Lutheran Church for allowing us to hold the forum here. It just means so much and says a lot about the church. Let me say a few things about our host for this event. Chandler Pride is a local organization whose mission includes creating a community within Chandler for the LGBTQ+ residents and friends, and serving as a voice for LGBTQ+ residents. Chandler Pride's mission includes providing a safe space for members of the community to come together. In doing so, Chandler Pride shares with the city of Chandler the values of opportunity, community, and belonging. The organization's mission is to advocate for local, state, and federal policies, practices, and laws which advance the equity and inclusion of Chandler's LGBTQ+ community. Chandler Pride is designed to be a resource for LGBTQ+ people, their families, their friends, allies, and to provide opportunities for engagement. Tonight's candidate forum is just that sort of opportunity. Tonight's forum includes candidates for the 3 city council seats, as well as mayoral candidates. Now let's welcome our candidates. The candidates for the 3 city council seats and mayor who are here tonight are Cicely Roca Miller, Jane Poston, Angel Encinas, and Matt Orlando. Please be aware that all 8 of the candidates running have been invited to participate this evening, and the candidates you will hear from tonight are those that chose to be here. Now for some ground rules for the forum. Each candidate will have 1 minute for their opening and 1 minute for their closing statements. Each candidate will have 1 minute to answer each question. All candidates on the panel will be asked to answer the same question posed before the next question is asked. The order of the candidate responses has been determined by Chandler Pride and the candidates. The other candidates will then respond in the order they are seated at the table. Our trusty timer, Craig Younger, will provide a 15-second warning denoted by a yellow sign and a stop signal denoted by the red sign to all of the candidates. I will use my discretion in asking follow-up questions to candidates and offering them 30 seconds, minutes would be a long time, 30 seconds to respond. We ask that our audience not engage in distracting or disruptive demonstrations of support or opposition of a candidate during the forum. If any members of our audience would like to ask a question to the candidates, and we have time after the set of questions that have been chosen are completed, we will allow a Q&A opportunity for members of the audience. Our goal tonight is to acquaint the residents of Chandler with the candidates seeking to represent them on the City Council and for mayor, and to learn the candidates' visions for the future of this vibrant community, and to hear their views on a variety of issues important to the community. With that, let's begin. Ms. Rocha Miller, can you please start your opening statement?
Yes, of course. My sound guy? Yeah. Press the button. Okay. Oh, geez. You tell me, thumbs up? Can you guys hear me okay? Yes. Okay, great. Good evening, and thank you to the Chandler Pride for hosting tonight's forum in this beautiful church. I want to start off by saying I'm a wife, a mom of 2 teenagers, a business owner, an event planner by trade, and my career has been built around bringing people together, building relationships and creating spaces where people felt welcomed and connected. I didn't get involved because I wanted to be a politician. I got involved because I care deeply about this community and the people who call it home. For more than 25 years, I've been a proud and outspoken ally to the LGBT+ community, including supporting marriage equality long before it was politically convenient. I've always believed that every person deserves dignity, respect, and the freedom to live authentically. I am a natural optimist. I tend to see possibilities where others see obstacles. I'm a problem solver, a solution architect, and someone who believes your character is defined by what you do when no one is watching. I want people to know that they can count on me to do the right thing, even when it's difficult. My name is Cicely Rocha Miller, and I look forward to our conversation.
Thank you. Ms. Poston.
All right, good evening, everyone. I'm Councilmember Jane Poston, and I am so appreciative to the Chandler Pride Group for hosting this event. I think it gives us a wonderful opportunity to connect and learn, and I thank you for letting us be here. When I first ran, I'm in my first term. When I first ran, it was for the first Pride event. At the time, I was part of the Chandler Chamber of Commerce. I was the president of that organization and was very active in working on a non-discrimination ordinance that we were successful in finally passing. I wrote letters, I talked to the business community, I put my business community's name on it, and was very active in trying to get that passed. But this is not a one and done. It's something that we need to continue working on, and we need to continue securing and making sure that Chandler is a safe and welcoming community for all. When Vice Mayor Encinas hosted a Pride flag raising last week, which he's done every year, I'm sure he'll talk about it. I hope I'm not stealing your thunder. But I talked about an issue that I had in relation to discrimination in our community. And it is important that we all stand up and speak for people in rooms that they aren't in.
Thank you. Mr. Encinas.
Okay, is this going to have the same feedback? Okay, there we go. All right, Jane, you took half my speech there. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. Good evening, everybody. I'm Angel Encinas. I'm your hometown council member and current vice mayor. I've been serving our council and our residents for the last 3.5 years exactly, because we're in June here on council. A little bit about myself. I grew up right here in downtown Chandler my entire life. I have many family and business roots here in downtown Chandler. I'm a CUSD graduate, a graduate of Chandler Gilbert Community College, and a graduate of Arizona State University. In my private work, I do immigration consulting, helping people legalize here in the United States, and I also do residential real estate, very part-time at this point. My family's office in immigration has always been a hub for assistance for the community, and so I ran in 2022 to expand that outreach and that help to the community to do it on another level. I ran to work for traditional neighborhoods, supporting public safety, small business, and amplifying voices of our residents. I've worked in all these areas over the last 3.5 years with my counterparts here with me, my fellow council members, but that work still needs to continue, and that's why I'm recommitting to the ideas and seeking another 4 years, and looking forward to the conversation tonight.
And Mr. Orlando.
Thank you. I'm Matt Orlando, City Council member, and I'm running for mayor. Chandler has grown to a large community of over 300,000 people. We built a solid fiscal foundation that's the envy of many in the valley, and we have a great quality of life. However, today's issues are a lot more complex than they were 30 years ago when I first was elected as council. Challenges such as homelessness, affordability, health issues, discrimination, and various other societal problems that we're facing every day. Because federal and state governments have reduced the funding for some of these support programs, it's left to us to solve these problems. Today's challenges calls for an experienced, transparent leader, someone you trusted, understands the complex realities, and will take decisive, practical actions. As a city, we had many successes and developed a strong foundation for the future, but let's not stop moving forward. Tonight, I'm rolling out my Chandler Delivers platform, community safety, economic growth, and equality of life, on which I believe this city should concentrate on in the days and months ahead.
Thank you. Our questions this evening will span various topics, including public safety, LGBTQ+ youth, those who are unhoused, inclusion, and the candidate's vision for the future of Chandler. Our first question is about vision, and it has two important parts. Candidates, where do you see the city in 10 years, and how do you see yourself contributing to that vision? Ms. Rocha Miller.
So one thing that I'm really proud of is that we've all done this and we're all united, and you're going to hear some repetitive answers tonight because I'm excited about the future. But when we got out into the community, there wasn't a lot of gripe about Chandler. Chandler is strong. I think right now we need to work on affordability. I think that I'm sad to know that a city employee can work here but not afford to live here, and I think the council is headed to that direction. I believe that we need to focus more on funding our police, not funding them, but more, yes, funding them, but making sure that they are fully, completely staffed and overstaffed, actually. I want to make sure that their mental health is taken care of now, because I want to make sure that all of our residents can call upon our police and public safety at any time. This isn't about policy. At the end of the day, people are looking to us to connect with them as representatives for people. I want to make sure that the people that are in this space can walk down the downtown area holding hands and not think twice. That's the kind of Chandler I want in 10 years. And now.
Ms. Poston.
All right. There we go. Quite simply, Chandler is a fantastic city, and the future is bright, and it's only going to get better, in my opinion. But that is because I think we have a council that is willing to do the work, and the people in this room are there with me, I hope, doing that same work. Quite simply, I want the kind of community in 10 years that my kids, your kids, and families can come back to and live. And that means all the things. It means those safe streets. It means the quality of life, parks, housing that is affordable for young families and new professionals, and the jobs that they need to make the good living and to be able to afford all the wonderful things and to fill our schools. All of that goes together to make Chandler the kind of wonderful community that it is. In terms of what I'll bring to the table with that, I hope I continue to bring a collaborative and open approach. I am always willing to do the work. I'm one of those people that likes to study all the answers and get a good understanding of what people want before I make my final decisions. And so I am always open for questions.
Thank you. Mr. Encinas.
Thank you. In 10 years, even 20 years, I hope to see, and I'm working to make sure that Chandler remains to be one of the most successful and welcoming cities here in the state of Arizona. A city that I've grown up to experience with a strong economy, safe neighborhoods, opportunities for everyone to succeed, and its charming character at the forefront of all of that. To achieve that vision, we need to focus on building on the foundation for the next generation. And when I'm talking about the foundation, I'm actually talking about the literal foundation of our streets, our pipes, our power, and our roads. Investments in Chandler's infrastructure, making sure that we're securing our water future, ensuring that we have energy resources, and that we remain competitive and continue to attracting families, jobs, businesses, and organizations to keep Chandler going and to plan ahead and make sure that we're making those investments today. As your council member, I plan to contribute to support growth with a strategic plan focused on our infrastructure for Chandler's future generations beyond us. Thank you.
Thank you. I envision Chandler to continue to be a vibrant, thriving community with a strong quality of life and expanded employment opportunities. I'm going to focus on economic growth on this question because I see Chandler continue to lead in the semiconductor industry, supporting suppliers, advancing next-generation technologies. I also see an aviation sector growing through urban air mobility partnerships that includes innovation, such as electric vehicle takeoff and landing aircraft. I see advanced manufacturing, software engineering, logistics, and small business startups remain the key for economic growth. By partnering with our education institutions, labor organizations, we can prepare our workforce for the future. Because I've worked in these industries, I understand their needs and potential, and their potential. As your mayor, I will use that experience to help attract and expand high-tech industries that create more jobs, more opportunities for us to continue to thrive.
Thank you. Our next question is about public safety. What policies will you advocate for to ensure that Chandler's public safety personnel can meet the needs of all members of minority populations in Chandler, including members of the LGBTQ community, so that they feel safe, seen, and heard? Ms. Rocha Miller.
So public safety starts so much sooner than when someone calls 911. It starts with trust. And I am so proud of our fire and police. And I believe a huge part of that is because a culture has been determined here in Chandler. And, you know, I keep saying I'm the new kid on the block, and I have learned deeply that it starts with our leadership. And if our council gives direction to our public safety to make sure that our minority population, our LGBTQ population is being protected, they will do so. And we are at a turning point with this council right now. Bad choice of words. We are, you know what I'm saying. We are at a different point in time right now, but we have to make a decision to make sure to protect our city. And I believe this council will do so.
Ms. Poston.
Ditto. No, I was going to say some very similar things. Public safety begins with trust. It is the trust that when our residents, no matter who they are, when they pick up the phone, that they know that they will be seen, heard, listened to, believed, and assisted in no matter what specific community they are a part of. And I think part of that is, again, the leadership at the top. And events like this are so important, and having leaders that are outspoken and having conversations like this and willing to have conversations like this show our community that we believe in being a welcoming community, and our police officers do listen, and that is part of their job. I believe in them. Our police officers and our firefighters are responsive and professional, and we want to make sure that they have maybe the tools that they need, the training that they need to understand how to be responsive and respectful, and they're always professional, but maybe there are issues training that they could get so that they understand that there may be issues that they aren't aware of, and to understand how to be more responsive and respectful.
Thank you. Mr. Encinas.
Thank you, Sharon. I agree with the other candidates that trust is going to be across the board. Public safety works best when residents trust that they're going to be treated with dignity, with respect, and with fairness. And I believe that our departments, our fire and our police, have done an amazing job at maintaining that here in our city. And my goal is to make sure that every person in Chandler, including our members of the LGBTQ plus community and especially our minority populations, feel safe when calling for help, when they're reporting a crime or interacting with our police and fire. But there is some work there still to do. And the way we do that is with ongoing training, open communication, and most importantly is going to be that community engagement. When our chief of police first started, one of my first conversations with him, and even when I first started with our fire chief, is making sure, how are you going to engage the community? All different communities, different areas, neighborhoods. How are you going to engage your officers and your firefighters to make sure that you're building that relationship, building that trust with everyone within the community so they feel safe with you? So growing on and building on that.
Thank you. And Mr. Orlando.
You know, sometimes in our lives, there's significant emotional events that turns us around. Back in 1997, our Chandler Police Force, unfortunately, was involved with what we call the Roundup. Some of you might have remembered that. Over 230-something individuals, U.S. citizens, were asked for their ID. That was distasteful, and it still bothers me today. But we learned from it. We developed policies, we developed procedures. We developed the Human Resource Committee, or Human Relations Committee, and that's in our DNA today. Our police officers, it's a culture. They understand minorities and they respect the minorities' rights. So from 1997 to today, they've built this culture that is the envy of this valley. You'll see a lot of police officers having problems with minority or individuals. We very rarely see our Chandler police officers. They have the ability to tag somebody out and say, that's enough, and they're disciplined, and I have full faith and credit and trust in our police officers to do the right thing at the right time.
Thank you. Our next question turns our attention to public safety for Chandler youth. Candidates, Chandler residents have expressed concern for youth-on-youth violence. Knowing that LGBTQ+ youth are at higher risk for such violence, what role do you see the city of Chandler playing in preventing and protecting Chandler youth? Ms. Rocha Miller.
LGBT students statistically are likely to experience bullying 2 times more compared to other students at their schools and their peers. This is not just a statistic, these are our children. Right now, it's about visibility. This is about prevention. That's the city's role. And I am, again, very proud of what our community impact team has done for outreach, and I believe that we need to keep investing in those programs. I'm very supportive and proud of Eduarda and her team and her board that are taking the leap and fearlessly going out into the community and flying that rainbow flag unfeared. And we need to keep supporting that. So I think to us, for me, it's about making sure that these young kids are seen and they have a place here, making sure that they have a soft space to land if they need it, making sure they have a responsible adult who will understand where they're coming from, listen, and help them guide. So for us, my priority is prevention, and I think we're on that path.
Thank you. Ms. Poston.
Yes, I think the city has an important role in prevention, that we have invested and been responsive to issues surrounding mental health issues, depression, all of those items that affect students and children in the LGBTQ community at a much higher rate than other kids. And you know, I think you sit up here and you stand as a mom and as a parent, and you look at children. They're all our children, right? And they need to feel accepted and welcome and see that they are reflected in the community that supports them. Those young people need adults that are out there proud of them and welcoming them and making them feel like and understand, not just feel like, know that they belong. They're an important part of our community. And so having that adult support, knowing that we offer services when they need it, and we have adult community support wherever we can.
Thank you. Mr. Encinas.
Thank you. Our city and our council has taken steps to address public safety concerns when it does come to our youth. Just last year, we passed the unruly gathering ordinance. We also did a ban on brass knuckles to do preventative activities in creating a safer environment for our students. But it does take a little bit more, considering our LGBTQ youth. As a member of the LGBT community as well, I've experienced my fair share of harassment growing up and bullying in school, so I know how isolating that can feel. And for me, I'm just wanting to make sure that every young person feels and knows that they deserve to feel safe and supported and respected within our community. And I think for our city to continue to work on that, we need to continue to partner with our schools, our families, our nonprofits, and community organizations to create these opportunities, environments, and strong support systems for our youth. We need to continue investing in programs that foster belonging and especially mentorship. A great example is our Leaders in Training program that we offer to our young students within the community. It's a program that I first entered in junior high school. It was a great mentorship program that introduced me to school and a great group of people that I was able to continue in my life's journey with.
Thank you. And Mr. Orlando.
Thank you. You know, about 8 years ago, I saw the challenge kids were facing today. Things like social media, drugs, this thing, peer pressure, and other activities. And I work with our police department to create what I call the C program. It's a school education engagement program. It's for 6th graders in every Chandler public school. It's a 4-hour program over a period of 4 days. And what they do is these are retired police officers, which they have respect and authority right now. It's a part-time program. We've hired 2 police officers when we first started the program. Now we're up to 3. It's a dynamic program, and it takes these kids through the issues with bullying, cyber security, all of the aspects that's going on in this that we don't even know about in this room, because I barely know how to use this thing, but they do, believe me. And it's a great program. Our teachers love it. The parents who were introduced to it love it. I've sat in several sessions, and I can't believe the 6th graders and the enthusiasm they have for this program, and they're sponging, and they have some great questions. That's the type of programs we need to be doing more of, and I'll continue to seek innovation programs as mayor to keep our kids safe.
Thank you. Now let's discuss engagement. What is your plan to engage with the LGBTQ+ community, including organizations and community groups, in making council decisions to ensure that our community's diverse needs and perspectives are represented? Ms. Rocha Miller.
I won't need a minute for this. This is easy. As I mentioned earlier, I've been a very involved ally for over 25 years, and I didn't just go to the parades. I showed up. I went to the meetings. I will continue to do so. I will connect with the residents here. I will engage in conversations. I remember when this opportunity arose, you know, my husband asked, well, how many hours do you think this will be? And I've learned real quick that this is a full-time job. It's a full-time job because I want it to be. It's a full-time job because my focus and efforts are on what Chandler residents want. So I need to be present, and I need to communicate with the residents, and I need to show up, and that's what I will do.
Thank you. Ms. Poston.
My approach has always been to listen first and to build those relationships. Sometimes you don't know what you don't know. So when we are making policy decisions, when we are trying to be out in the community or make decisions that affect the LGBTQ community, that affect our youth, I think the approach is definitely to listen first as an ally, as a supporter, and understand that, you know, that perspective is really the most important one as we're making decisions and putting policies into place, and to listen and learn and move after that.
Thank you. Mr. Encinas.
Thank you. As a member of the LGBTQ community, I feel like I have an inner dialogue of what kind of goes on and the kind of the needs, but it does come down, as Councilmember Poston mentioned, is listening. And we want to better understand what the community is actually asking for. And when I talk about community, I'm saying the Chandler LGBTQ community specifically, whether that's more local resources, whether it's stronger visibility or greater engagement. We've done great work through Chandler Pride, through raising the Pride flag, but most engagement and opportunities, whether it's services, are typically in the Phoenix area. And we need to know what exactly are the needs here in Chandler. So I'm listening, wanting to listen to more here and build on that. I've had great conversations with organizations and service providers that are across the state who are wanting to engage more in the East Valley, come here to Chandler and bring their resources, one of the organizations shared with me that over 1,300 visits were from Chandler residents across the zip codes. And they're wanting to talk about coming and bringing, I know there are satellite offices here, but they're wanting to bring additional services to Chandler to be able to service them. So it's about having those conversations on what is truly needed for the LGBT in Chandler.
Thank you. Mr. Orlando.
You know, to be honest with, not much more I could address with those answers, but I think the fact that we're all here, right, this room right now, sends a strong message to everyone in this room that as the next mayor of this city, I'll represent everyone, not just a particular group or groups that I don't agree with or groups that maybe not be in the best favor. We need to be here. We need to be listening to the dialogue, understanding what's going on in the communities, and whether it's the LGBTQ community, whether it's Hispanic community, other minorities, majorities. I'm just tired of this dividing and conquer going on in our society. It's time that we come together as a city, and as mayor, I'll make sure of that.
Thank you. This next question changes our focus to schools and education. While the city does not have jurisdiction over CUSD policy, it is intrinsically involved in how the youth of Chandler is educated. How will you advocate for comprehensive, age-appropriate sex education in schools, including information about sexual orientation and gender identity, as well as having access to a diverse library of books? Ms. Rocha-Miller.
I know you all know this already, but the information that our LGBTQ community kids are looking for can be life-saving information. It is so frustrating to know that there are folks that are trying to ban these resources. So I support getting smarter than them, and that's what we need to do. A lot of these kids are scared to even go into our libraries. A lot of these kids are scared to talk to their teachers. So we need to broaden our online resources, make sure that our students are being heard through their counselors. We don't set the curriculum, but we have strong relationships with our future school board members and our current school board members. So this is no joking matter. This isn't something about a children's book that someone overly sexualizes. These are life-saving resources, and we need to keep supporting that.
Thank you. Ms. Poston.
I have always been a supporter of education and involved in the schools. And while my role as a council member, we don't have that kind of control over the curriculum, I think being a partner to our teachers and to our schools is incredibly important. I sat on a committee where there were a bunch of teachers in the room, and I kept wanting to talk about curriculum, and they kept talking about the kids need social and emotional support. And I think we need to listen to our teachers about what our kids need. And when I say ours, like I said, they're all our kids. Adjacent to that is who thought that librarians would be the defenders of democracy. And we as a city council can continue to support our libraries, support our librarians, support those library boards when they tell us and bring us a broad and diverse scope of books for those kids to read. And our libraries are safe spaces for kids. We want them to feel welcome, and we want them to have those librarians who are so educated and so wonderful to go and be a safe resource for them.
Thank you. Mr. Encinas.
Thank you, Sharon. Growing up and learning within the Chandler Unified School District, I feel like I had a proper informative sex education. And I'm not sure how that has changed over the many years because I've been gone for so long and I don't have children myself to know what those changes may be or how those curriculums are being taught. But my role as a council member and our partnership within our schools is to have that open conversation. And I have had that with on many different topics with our educators, our principals, our parents, our school leadership, to advocate for resources and policies that support our students. Every young person deserves access to an accurate, age-appropriate education that helps them understand themselves better. And on the city side, as Councilmember Poston mentioned, we have a wonderful library board that reviews and goes through the materials to make sure that they're accessible and they're appropriate, and they work through complaints. I believe they've only had maybe 3 or 4 complaints in the last 4 to 5 years through the materials that have gone through. So making sure that we have accessibility for all of our students and making sure that the materials that are going through are being passed and approved by our boards at the library. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Orlando.
Yeah, you are correct. We don't very much, we have a lot of partnership with the schools, but we do focus on the joint utilization of libraries at our high schools. And as Vice Mayor indicated earlier, we do have a strong library board. There's been several times, and not a lot, maybe a half a dozen times where folks came to for council meeting over the 24 years I've been on the council, and they've complained about a particular book or a particular series of books. And we nicely say, well, we have a process for that. It's called the library board. It's a citizens committee. Half the time they show up for the process, and the other half of the time our library board listens to them and says, yes, we have some strong, robust policies. Thank you very much. We're a diverse community, and we want access. And that's really what's made the system work. You were heard, but yet by the same token, they took a stand, our Library Citizens Committee, and I appreciate everything they're doing right now. So yes, we need to always have access to any type of material and not be censors. That's the last thing in the world I want to do.
Thank you. Our next question for the candidates is about those in our community who are unhoused. What steps will you take to address the disproportionately high rates of the unhoused among the LGBTQ+ youth in Chandler? Ms. Rocha-Miller?
I believe that our LGBTQ+ youth are 1 in 10. Is that correct, for our unhoused population? And I worked for a nonprofit organization for a long time that helped unhoused families with children. And in my time there, it was very seldom about a housing issue. It was about a denial of resources. And so that's the type of thing that I want to make sure that our city keeps doing. It's the partnerships with Chandler Pride. It's our partnerships with our schools, our other nonprofits, our churches, to make sure that these kids are protected before they become unhoused.
Thank you. Ms. Poston?
I think it also goes back to that welcoming community. It's heartbreaking that many of those unhoused youth are because their families are not understanding or welcoming or putting them out of their homes. And I think that is where we, as a city, can come in again with those partnerships in organizations that can provide them the services that they need. Those are things like partnerships with organizations that provide prevention, the emergency assistance. We actually have a wonderful neighborhood resources team that works in emergency assistance and providing specific assistance to those young people. And I think it's also being aware that unhoused does not mean that they are standing on a street corner. Many of these youth are couch surfing. That's still unhoused. They don't have that stable housing environment. And finding resources for them as well, and understanding that is we need to take a broad look at what it means to not have a stable home as a young person.
Thank you. Mr. Encinas?
Thank you. I believe we need to strengthen the ability of our schools and community organizations to better identify youth and our LGBT youth that are more at risk at an earlier time. And that means having staff to be properly trained to work with our youth population. I saw a staggering statistic. I think it was 40% of homeless youth identify as LGBT here in the state of Arizona. That was off of Governor Hobbs' site there, which is an alarming number to think about. And here in the city, we have our navigation program that has been operating for many years with great success. I'm definitely open to expanding and coordinating, and I would support something like this, coordinating with other organizations across the valley. As Cicely mentioned, 1 in 10 has a great program called POND, which is Promise of a New Day, that helps youth find safer, accepting housing. And if we're able to collaborate, if we had that specialized case management, if we had those situations here in Chandler, through our navigation team to be able to link hands together and pass those off so we can find appropriate resources for everyone.
Thank you. Mr. Orlando?
I have my Housing for All plan, and my website outlines a lot of things what I want to do for affordable housing. Obviously, working with financial institutions, we keep forgetting that's the key piece of this whole project, is getting the resource to build these facilities. Work with the home builders for infill projects, redevelopment projects, accelerate our downtown. We have about 40 properties in downtown that we own that we could actually put affordable housing in there to house folks that need the security of a home. We just finished our villas on McQueen, 157 affordable units. And Thursday night, we'll be voting on our next 250 unit Hamilton to Haven on Hamilton Street. So I'm excited for those two projects. It's going to help us do a heavy lift for some of the homelessness out there. We need to work with our schools and churches to increase housing affordability projects for their particular land. And we need to work with the Chandler School District and all the other school districts. As schools are closing around our valley, we need to start working on putting housing there, because 2 to 3 years from now, they'll have more schools closing if we don't get families there.
Thank you. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is the focus of the next two-part question. Some Chandler residents have voiced opposition to recent DEI efforts made by the city and consider any type of inclusion efforts to be reverse racism. First, what are your thoughts about that view of DEI policies? And second, how would you respond to those efforts to remove DEI as a priority for the city of Chandler? Ms. Ruchamiller.
Well, like you said, Sharon, the problem with this is that it's being used as a political point other than what it truly is. That's what we need to talk about. For me, it's about not giving one group an advantage. It's about making sure that everybody's on the same level playing field. This includes our seniors, our veterans, our folks with disabilities, small business owners, people that lived here for a long time, people that lived here for a short time. Everybody's coming in from a different perspective, and that includes our LGBT plus community. I understand why people have concerns, because they are being fed misinformation about what DEI truly is. So what we need to focus on is the outcomes of our DEI initiatives. Are we making an impact? Are those impacts positive? If the answer is no, then we need to start making changes. So it's really, for me, all about giving everybody the same level playing field so we can end the race and finish stronger together.
Thank you. Ms. Poston.
To me, it's about fairness, not favoritism. And I believe Cicely's absolutely right. People are being served the wrong message when it comes to DEI. And I am actually kind of committed, and I just violated my own rule. I don't want to call it DEI. I think people don't understand it. But when you say diversity, equity, inclusion, you hear those words, how can you possibly be against any of those things? And when it comes to policy on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and keeping it or not keeping it, I am an absolute yes. This is important to Chandler, it's important to us, and you won't see me ever wanting to get it away or call it something else. I believe diversity, equity, and inclusion is something to be very, very proud of. It is to make sure that all residents of Chandler have a way to be a part of their community.
Thank you. Mr. Encinas.
So, long before I got here, Chandler has always been investing in inclusion, accessibility, and community for decades. And that was true before my time, and it will remain true as I continue working here on this city council. I won't support turning my back on the values that have helped Chandler become one of the strongest and most welcoming cities in Arizona. DEI might sound a little bit different these days, but I promise you guys the work is still there, the commitment is still there, the people are still there, and the care is still there. So as long as I'm still on council, I'll be championing that full throttle.
Thank you. Mr. Orlando.
Thank you. People choose Chandler to help for its schools, employers, industries, quality of life. Those strengths have helped attract a global workforce, and preserving our competitive edge means continued support in an inclusive community where residents and businesses can thrive. DEI reflects Chandler as a diverse, welcoming community made stronger by the people, cultures, and experiences that shape our city. A good example of this, in our Chandler schools, the homes of our Chandler schools, over 64 different languages are spoken in those homes. Think about that. 64 different languages are spoken in our Chandler's homes. That represents a community of diversity. I was a supporter of Chandler's non-discrimination ordinance, and I worked with the fellow council members over a 2-year period to bring it to fruition. I could summarize it very simply. DEI will not DIE as long as I'm on this council.
Thank you. Chandler Pride's final question concerns inclusion. Returning to the first question of this evening, when you expressed your vision for Chandler, What specific steps do you plan to take in the next 2 years to move the city toward that vision? Ms. Rocha Miller?
So the goal for me isn't to create a different Chandler, it's to protect the one we have now and move to bettering it at least 1% every day. If we can get 1% better every day, for me, that's protecting our water resources. That is a huge need for us right now with all the technology coming in, and I'm very proud of our current council for voting that down. Also, it's our housing resources. I have 2 kids at Chandler High right now, and they both want to stay home. They both want to stay here, and we're going to do that, but then they are going to fly the nest, and I want them to be able to buy here. I'd love my grandkids to be here, but how can our youth afford that? So if there are policies that we can do on a local level, that's what I would like to see done. So for me, it's a long ride. We're going to continue to protect our city. It's just about focusing on getting 1% better every day. Thank you.
Ms. Poston.
Thank you. I'm just going to talk about a specific policy that I've been working on. It started about a year ago. I'm of a certain age that I know people who thought that marriage equality would never happen in their lifetime, and it did. And I think after it happened, it's so disappointing to see that that is potentially at risk. And I thought it would never be at risk in my lifetime. So one of the things that I began talking about internally with the city of Chandler is domestic partner benefits. So that if those benefits would be at risk, that we as a city are standing up beside our LGBTQ families and saying that we still believe you are equal and deserve equal benefits to everyone else. We are implementing that. Unfortunately, not soon enough. I have work to do with my fellow council members. I'm being told it will be done in 2027. I have that commitment in writing. My work with my council members would be to get that done sooner and get it implemented. I'm sorry, 2027 is just next year. So I do have a commitment from our HR community to be announcing that at the beginning of the new year. Whether I am on council or not, I want to see this done and leave the city a little better than I found it. But I do want to make sure that that policy stays in place by continuing to be on council and working with every person in this room.
Thank you. Mr. Encinas.
Thank you. As I mentioned, my goal is going to be around infrastructure, which is kind of the nitty-gritty, not so glamorous type of things, but it's what's going to be setting up our future. And infrastructure is very important. For me, it's about the next 2 years, hopefully still being on council, is setting up a plan with that, looking at our CIP programs, looking at our streets programs, and seeing where we can focus our work on at the city, whether it's going to be our streets, whether it's going to be power grid in the Price Corridor, whether it's going to be working on water treatment facilities or pipe replacement plan that we need to speed up the process with, because Chandler is aging and we need to make sure that it is ready for the next generation, the next flow of business that's going to be coming forward. So that's what I would like to be working on, making sure that we have a long-term plan ready to go, making sure that far beyond my time that councils behind me are going to be set up for success, and our residents and our communities are going to be successful for that.
Thank you. Mr. Orlando.
As I spoke about earlier, economic development is a driving force. You know, I work for large corporations in America, and I put together multi-million-dollar deals from everywhere from Singapore to San Diego. I understand how to have a global mindset. I understand how to work with those corporations and bring them here to Chandler. We just landed a Japanese firm, a German firm, and 1 or 2 other, I can't remember right now, but they're moving here. We have a vibrant aerospace. So what I would do is, obviously, we have to have a strategy. And I'm working on that as we speak right now. Because without a strategy, I can't apply the tactics and the resources to make it happen. And that's the first thing to do. I will get with the stakeholders, obviously economic development team, Chamber of Commerce, schools, labor organizations, the industries, and put together the strategy so that we could have a long-term vision and success. It won't be easy, but nothing's ever easy. So that's what I'll do as mayor.
Thank you.
I'll do the heavy lifting.
We do have time for questions from the audience. So if you have a question, please raise your hand, and we will pose your question to each of the candidates, for each of the candidates to respond.
My name is Randy McGee. I live at the Springs. what kind of procedures, thoughts, or ideas does the council have for protecting the neighborhoods from ICE? And also, I've heard rumors that we might have difficulty with ICE being in the areas of our voting poll areas.
Each candidate will have 1 minute to respond to that question. Yes.
Great. That's the theme tonight. I love it. I touched on this a little bit earlier, Randy. I think that's why it's so important to have a really strong council, because we as a council are really driving the direction of the city. I know some other cities and counties have partnered with ICE. And so with the direction and partnership with our police department, we are not doing so. The three of my colleagues here can talk more specifically about policies. I know from a federal standpoint, we are limited on what we are doing, but I also know, and I can confidently say as a resident, that we are not working with them or tipping anybody off.
Thank you. Ms. Poston?
Absolutely is continuing to have that conversation with our police chief and our police officers and making it very clear that we as a council want to make sure that our police officers are doing the service and the jobs of the police department, not the service and the jobs of ICE. Additionally, we have been partnering sort of a little bit, I'm going to say low-key, to try and make sure that we don't become a target, but partnering with nonprofits and our residents and elected officials, our schools, to basically get services to families that actually have been affected by ICE, and make sure, like there's a 17-year-old boy who's now taking care of his two brothers at 14 and 12. And so we're making sure that they are continuing to go to school, that young man can help feed his family and take care of those kids. So that's a very practical aspect that we continue to do, but I think it's continuing to have those conversations to make sure that our staff understands that that is not the direction that this council wants to go in.
Thank you. Mr. Encinas?
Thank you. As Councilmember Poston mentioned, our community has really banded together in this past year and stuff to bring resources, to bring services, to bring just simple documents that will help people and their families to continue getting through this type of process. On our end, as a city, right at the beginning of all of this, we were preparing for this, ensuring that our police department was not going to be participating in any of these types of activities. And we even went even further more and ensuring that our chief of police is stating that his officers will never have their faces covered. They will always have identification that there's a Chandler Police Department. They'll always have their name badges there. We have not worked with them in any direct targeting or anything like that. That will be remaining. There has been some small coordination or through agreements through some traffic assistance is like the only extent of what that has gone through to control traffic, and that was very limited services from there. So we hope to maintain that type of relationship and services right now.
Thank you. Mr. Orlando?
Thank you. So as I said earlier today, the 1997 immigration enforcement was being done. Our police officers weren't trained. Now they are. The policies are in place. They weren't back then. Our police officers' role is police, public safety. Stand back. They can't interfere with federal, obviously, activities. You can rest assured, we've had over 30 years of this, of dealing with this. We're not going to change now. We're going to maintain what we've done in the past and go forward with that.
Thank you.
Can I just say something real quick? I'm going to kind of echo a little bit of what I had said earlier. If this council isn't majority, even though this is a nonpartisan race, if this council isn't a majority supporter of one way or the other, what all of these fine folks have said could change just like that. So local elections matter more than you think. And I believe very strongly in these candidates and the direction that the city is going to. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so vote. Yeah, and tell
Yes,
a
so
friend to
vote.
Hi, folks. Good evening. Thank you very much for being here. Greg Popovec, a member of, lived in this community since 1990. And as Sharon stated at the very beginning, there's 4 people here. There are 8 people that were invited. That's all I'm going to say.
Thank you. Further questions?
Yeah, hi. My name's Tony Stevens. Grew up in Chandler. Go to church here at Holy Trinity Lutheran Church. My business also is drilling water wells. And with the droughts we've had in the western U.S. and the surface water that the state of Arizona is going to be cut off here soon, what do you guys see happening with the water wells and drilling and making sure that the people in Chandler still continue to get the water that they need?
Ms. Rotamella?
Oh, yeah. Can we let Matt go first?
Oh, sure.
So
The entire board up here decided Matt's going first.
I'm sorry. Yeah, we took over here. Sorry, Sharon.
That's okay.
You did a great job up to this point.
I just lost control of the room.
So I hope we don't clock this because this is a very important issue. That's the misperception out there. Chandler has been out of a robust water system since 1903, when the SRP canal came through this city. Think about that. We were thinking about water back then. I'm on the AMWA board, which is a board for the 11 committees, 11 communities in municipalities. So let me put it this way. 40% of our water, 47% of our water comes from SRP. 37% comes from the CAP canal system, and then the other filling is with pumping, as we need to do. We have such a robust agreements with the Hill River Indians, for instance. We actually get their water off the canals, fresh water off the canals, and we sell them gray water for their planting, because it's cheaper for them to put for their fields. And we have a robust system of all these types of agreements over the last 50 years, quite frankly. Obviously, Intel being here helped accelerate some of that thought process. We're one of the only few cities that have a well system that's still operating. What we did and the council did this about 3 years ago, is we actually thought about this. We were saving water all the way up in northwest Phoenix somewhere. I couldn't even pump it down here if I wanted to. The council said, what good is having that piggy bank all the way up there if I can't get to the money? We decided to do is we built a canal system, or a piping system, off the canal. So instead of dumping it at northwest Phoenix somewhere, we're pumping in our aquifer. We have a natural aquifer in our city right now that's the envy of the valley. Our biggest challenge right now, my friends, is to keep somebody else from trying to take our water. You know, we've been the ant for all these years, and now there's grasshoppers coming around, and they're asking for our water supply. I can assure you right now, Chandler has an assured water supply for over 100 years, like we're supposed to have by law. I don't know what else I could answer for that question. I did a water video for the city a few weeks ago that answers a lot of those questions. So we do have an assured water supply.
Thank you. Ms. Rocha Miller?
I can.
So I echo everything that Matt says. He's very passionate about this subject. I will tell you, Tony, that this is a concern of residents. This isn't something that we're just taking for granted. My son is working out at the gym every day, and he's feeling real confident right now, like we are with our water resources, but he still needs to go to the gym and work out, right? So we still need to do the work. We still need to diversify. We still need to invest in the infrastructure that we have to protect our water. So that is very much still a topic of conversation. So we are very secure, but we are not taking that for granted.
Ms. Poston?
I think the biggest issue is also the Colorado River and the agreements with other states. If you have read about this, Arizona is pretty much in last place in terms of where we're getting that water, and the other states are really just not they're just not playing ball at all. And it's been very difficult and very frustrating. But we as a council do continue to lobby and talk to our elected officials and get them to try and advocate for us at the federal level to make this happen. I do want to piggyback off of what Matt had said as well. When you're talking about the water resources that we have and that we have been very careful with those, when other communities do say that we are hoarding or we have this, I just want to remind our Chandler residents that we have put off some of those things that other communities have served. So we've put our money into infrastructure, and there's an opportunity cost, right? So if we're putting our money into infrastructure, we're not putting our money into some of those other quality of life issues. And while we have a great quality of life, maybe we could have gotten there a little faster had we not been the ant and saved for that rainy day and kept putting that away. So I just do want to remind everyone here, as advocates in the community, know that we have sacrificed some of the things that we could have done maybe a little faster to make sure that we do have that water supply in the long run.
Thank you.
Just to add on to all of this, for me, it's about protecting our water. And that's for our future, and I plan to continue doing so, and our council has done so. I'll give you an example of the RWCD situation that happened down in the Roosevelt Water District in South Chandler, who was not honoring their part of the agreement when we had residents in South Chandler that had been paying for years into for their water without receiving any of their water. We took that to the courts, and Chandler ended up winning just recently with that earlier this year. And so we went to go fight for our rights, and we got our water rights back, and we did it on behalf of our residents. So we'll continue to do that to ensure that we have water here in Chandler.
Thank you.
Hi, so my question has to do with more so diversity and public safety. I was just wondering what the council would suggest in terms of policies or training that you would have public safety workers just kind of, you would enforce on them so that they would overcome their own internal biases. As you know, that's something that can pop up, especially in the field. And then just me being a woman of color, it's kind of, I don't know if you've seen social media and the news, but it can get really terrifying sometimes, and especially having a child of color too, really not wanting anything bad to happen to us. So I guess what would you kind of do to help promote that?
This topic has been something that has gone since the, founding fathers founded this country. I think the movement of George Floyd really did turn things to enlighten a lot of policies around our country. It is sad that another black man had to die due to it, but the gift is that change did occur. Now, that doesn't mean that we still don't have a ton of work to do. I am very, very proud of our Chandler police, and they are willing and open and able to listen and learn more. So I think having a resident committee, an oversight committee would be something that I would be interested in putting together. We may have one already, but I think that hearing from retired officers, current victims maybe, or not current victims, but former victims of some sort of mishap, some sort of communication, so that way we can oversee. But I'm very proud of our Chandler Police Department, but I know that they are open, and Chief is very open about it as well.
I think a lot of that has to do with continuing our robust training programs. And when people who tell us, like you, as you said, you're a woman of color with a child, and you have concerns, when you say things like that, we need to listen and believe you, that your experience is, and those concerns are absolutely something that we should be talking about and addressing and potentially training our officers. One thing that I know we have been doing is in terms of recruitment. We became fully staffed back in January, but that's sort of an up and down as officers retire. We've been very clear with our recruitment companies that we want to make sure that we are recruiting not just our police officers, but city staff in general that reflect our community. So, and I think, doing outreach into diverse communities, making sure that we are thoughtful and purposeful on the way we recruit officers, whether it's those lateral officers or new officers, that we need to make sure that we keep those kinds of things in mind, because I think there is value in that.
Thank you.
Thank you. For me, it's going to be an umbrella of accountability when it comes to that. And that's training, that's using our use of force advisory board. As Cicely mentioned, we do have something like that, a group of board members of our community that do review if there is an incident or accusations of something. They together come and make a decision with that. But for me, it's always going to come down to that community engagement. As I asked our chief of police, is meeting our residents where they are, come to our communities, come to our neighborhoods, see how we are, how we operate, so we can work together and get to know each other better. That's going to have a better understanding. So for me, at the core, it's going to be the community engagement with that.
I go next, right? All
You
right.
go next.
You got control.
Thank you.
You know, it's all four of us up here are supported by the Chandler police officers. They're all four supported by the firefighters and the sheriffs. And there's a reason for that, because we do support them and we trust them and they trust us. And that's where it begins, a trust. I could go back and we could talk about the Citizens Committee for Use of Force. We could talk about our internal affairs being a robust group of individuals. We could talk about the recruiting and retention that we're outreaching for many organizations. And we only take the best in Chandler. And that I've seen this firsthand. There's hundreds of police officers that have come through the academy. We only take the best. There's laterals. We only take the best. And that's what it really boils down to. We just created a mental health unit where to help mitigate issues before they become major issues. That, to me, was a milestone in our city over the last couple of years. I think we're fully staffed now with 5 police officers. And then the other thing we're doing right now, our police officers, we're creating a faith-based board. We're getting together with our faith-based organization to put together a board, because a lot of you in this room are close to this community and understand what this community is about. So those are the things we're reaching out. A lot of police agencies don't do that. We do in Chandler.
My name is Brandon Padilla. I'm a Chandler resident, also attend church here at Holy Trinity. I've heard a lot about, bringing in industry, working with business, all great. I hear it all the time. My issue more is, how do we retrain our current population and our future population for the massive shift that AI is bringing? Because Matt, it makes sense to say, well, we're bringing in this Korean business and this German business, but if they come in here and immediately are shedding jobs, not bringing those resources to the community, how are we going to retrain the Chandler community to benefit from the jobs of the future when AI is going to be such a big issue?
Matt, I'll let you start on that one. Matt.
I was confident with that answer, too.
Unless Jane has a better answer. That's a fair question. And like I talked about earlier, workforce is a key element of that. And although I came from high-tech industry, the first thing about high-tech is it is scary at first. It is. It's an unknown. We're creatures of habit in this room. But the reality is, I heard the same arguments when we got our first computers in the old Cobalt system. I heard the same arguments taking jobs. Henry Ford heard the same arguments about automation taking jobs. So the first thing we have to do is embrace it. Let's figure out what works and what doesn't work. And that's how I approach it when I was in industry. If this doesn't work and it's create havoc and it's create problems, I don't use it. So let's go back to what you really said. It really boils down to something else. We need to put together a consortium. That's one of the things I want to do as council member, as mayor. Consortium of the business organizations in our community and say, and I've been to, Jane and I and Angel, we've been to numerous of these roundtables. That's the first thing we hear is, we need more workforce, we need more workforce. I'm tired of talking about that. We're starting to put together a workforce. The chamber is working real well with this. We hired a workforce person in the city of Chandler about a year ago. We start to put together a strategy of how we get these young kids engaged early enough so that they could have a career path. Whether it's trade schools, whether it's the high-tech industries, we have to give them a path to go forward. And then we need the resources. And the communities, I'll give you another good example. Chandler Gilbert Community College, Intel came to them and said, I need technical people. You're smiling. You knew about this. A 2-week course, 3-week course, gets them the basic, how to wear a gown, a PPP, all that good stuff, right? that we've gone through in the past. And guess what? They hand them off to Intel, and you guys train them to take the next training step. That's the type of stuff we could do, work with our community partnerships. So, and technology is always going to be there, whether it's a Stone Age technology or today's technology. We have to embrace it. We have to keep what's good and, quite frankly, challenge what's bad.
Too much to be adding to that. For me, it's just about adapting to those different conditions, as Matt is mentioning, and making sure that our pipeline, that our youth, that we're having those partnerships with our schools, are, whether it's CUSD or other school districts, and as well with our higher education, is making sure that we have those partnerships and showing what our businesses are actually needing and helping to solve that problem with them. We have great internship programs through the city of Chandler in collaboration with Chandler Gilbert Community College, with ASU, and making sure that we adapt to this new technology. I know AI can be a little bit scary. I literally saw this new company called Zipline that is using androids to deliver Chipotle, which is pretty crazy how they do everything, and I'm just, it's crazy to see where we're going, and how we end up using that is going to be the main question, and what continues forward from that. So, yeah, thank you.
So a couple of things. Boy, I could talk a long time on this one, because I think there are two schools of thought. One, that AI, we just shouldn't have it, that it's not going to be there, and then there's another in terms that it's just coming and there's nothing we can do. My personal opinion is that AI is a tool, and the most successful people are going to be the ones that learn how to use it like any other tool. I will admit that in 5 years I might regret what I just said, because I don't know where it's going, and I think, you know, there's still some unknowns about that. But I think there was a lot of fear around a lot of things, whether it was social media was the next big thing that was going to save us all. You know, different home computer programs were going to save us from having to hire out. And I think people are smart enough to develop and adapt. I have spent a lot of time on those workforce roundtables in partnership with the Chamber, with the Community College, ASU, U of A, talking to different areas of businesses, and they do say they need those workers. CGCC has an amazing AI program, so they're teaching those students how they can use AI and not be susceptible to those jobs that really won't, that could be replaced with AI. Another thing that we are doing, and had very specific conversations with both our city manager and our economic development division, is let's go ahead and target and basically identify those companies that we have long recruited that might be susceptible to AI. Some of the call centers that we have, they employ a lot of people, but some of those are the things that could potentially be replaced. So do we have that job training with all of our wonderful partners that can train those people when we need it? And we do, those things are in place. But again, what industries should we be recruiting so that aren't so susceptible to AI, to make sure that we have our eye on the ball and our eye in the future, that our families and our kids have the jobs that are going to be, you know, be successful over the years in the long term.
I'm a daughter of a welder, and my husband is in the trades by compressed air. So we are very much blue-collar families. And I know when we were speaking to different unions, the conversation of apprenticeships for our city opportunities and our city contracts came up, and I support that wholeheartedly. I think that AI is going to be a game changer. It's going to be our kids' internet, which what internet was for us is what AI is, but we do need to embrace it. But I still think that the human hand, there's a special touch about that. So I am one for doing anything we can to show our kids that they can afford a home in Chandler once they get their training in a trade. And so I would love to invest more as a city in closer partnerships with that.
So one of the things we've done in Chandler, and one of the first cities, if not the first city, we have an AI committee we've set up. We took a person out of our IT department, and this person is working with all the departments on setting up the boundaries, setting up the policies, the procedures of how we implement AI. A good example, our police department. They have multiple sensors and cameras that they use on a crime scene or scene. And instead of them spending 3 or 4 hours, 5 hours writing this report up, they could take that information from the sensors, the cameras, the other police officers, the verbal, the commands, the communications, put it and synthesize it, and that police officer could spend a few hours now going through that area, making sure things are correct. That's the power of that particular AI. Now that police officer's back on the street. We're talking about firefighters using it. We're talking about our accounting department using AI. And our city approach to this, and maybe it gets to the heart of what industry should be thinking about. Our city approach to this is, let's embrace AI. Let's figure out what the boundaries are, how we want to use this to make our jobs simpler so that we could do other things. And that's really what it boils down to. And that's a philosophy we need to start implementing, I think, throughout this nation. How can we make it simpler to do other things?
Well, I have the microphone for Jane. The domestic partner benefits you were talking about, is it just for city employees?
At this point, yes.
Okay.
Yes. Well, that's what I have authority over and can request. So it's a start.
I want to switch topics a little bit to the urban forest. And I attended an urban forestry program last spring. I was delighted to find out that we have such a thing as an urban forestry program, and someone that's in charge of our urban forest is something I feel like I've been working at kind of solo with whoever I can find that's interested in the issue to make sure that we have a tree canopy in my neighborhood, on my street, in this city, in the parks that I visit and so forth. When I was serving on the HOA board at San Marcos Estates, my job every year was to count all the dead trees and all the dead bushes and make plans for how we would replant and afford the replanting. And I was often sorry at the end of the year that more trees had died than we were able to plant. And then I would take the same kind of inventory in San Marcos Park and then in the streets around Fry Road where I live, and as I walk around and just see how the city is doing and whether they're having the same situation that I'm having. More trees dying than we can get planted and growing and thriving. So in the 25 years that I've lived here, I feel like I see more and more of the sky than I want to. I would like to look up and see more tree. I'd like to see the sky, but I want to see a lot of shade. I want to see a tree canopy. So I'm happy that we have an urban forestry program. I just would like to know your perspective on what kind of support, how we're doing with that.
Jane. And then maybe they can add a couple of things. You were ahead of us. Nice job. That is exactly what we are doing in the city. We actually have an organization actually logging our trees as an asset, because those are things that we paid for at some time, and taxpayers paid for. We track everything in the city of Chandler. They can tell you where our stop signs are and which way they're facing, because they know if they're western facing, they're going to fade sooner and they need to be replaced sooner. We just recently have determined that we need to do that with our trees and our other vegetation as assets, that when we plant them, because we do hear that, and in really that sort of western Chandler and kind of north Chandler where maybe it's not as new, and we need to make sure that we're replacing those. So we have a program like that in place, and I'm kind of excited about it. So thank you for going to that program.
Yeah, just to build off of that a little bit more is we actually have a dedicated urban forester who has gone through, he's making his way through the city and counting all the different types of species, the status of the health of the trees, so we can better understand for our future planning for replanting. And when we're going through, we just did an extensive xeriscape conservation, water conservation, and doing turf or desert landscape on some basins that we own to cut down costs for maintenance and water and all of that stuff, but getting him involved as well too, to telling us what is going to be the proper types of trees, plants that are going to be successful in growing in there. So these are things that you, for myself, coming on council, didn't really think, okay, these are these items that we're going to be looking at as well, but I'm very happy that we're looking at those things and ensuring that we have someone that is going to be dedicated to that future of our plants and our environment around here. So very pleased to be supporting that.
Yeah, I have to echo what the council member says. So about 4 years ago, when Angel and Jane joined the council, we actually added sustainability as a strategic plan. It goes back to what I said earlier. You have to have a strategic plan to put the resources to. And that was part of the strategic plan back then. And I thank these fellow council members here for pushing hard for that. But it really boils down to, and we are doing stuff for trees and water, recycling, sustainability. Chandler was the first city that put solar panels up. And now we have a project today that we have 40 of our city buildings will have solar projects. And we'll save maybe $2 to $3 million a year. More because rates are only going to go up, folks, let's be honest. But think about that. What community's taking that, embracing that type of philosophy of taking sustainability? We put LED lights in our streets. We could argue they're too bright, too not, but we're saving $800,000 a year in costs alone just by doing that, not just to mention our environment. There's a lot of things we continue recycling. We're still doing recycling when other cities are saying no. So those are things we could do. It's all about sustainability. And I agree with you. We got to figure out what better technologies are out there. I heard some cities are painting streets and rooftops white to be reflective. It's very expensive, but these are some of the things we could be looking into to reduce the heat island effect so that those trees aren't dying because it's 115 out and they're not used to 115 degrees. So, thank you.
I think it's just acknowledging that these green spaces are an opportunity for kids to go outside and play. As silly as that sounds, I know the Chandler as the city as a whole values that. I know when we're going downtown and we're at events and utilizing those canopies, because that's where everybody heads to, is the shade. So I do believe that the city values that, and I'm supportive of that too.
Other questions? Yes. Way in the back.
Oh, sorry. You're hiding in the back.
I just had a quick question, just because the word affordability was kind of thrown around a lot today. Just wondering what your, potential actions would be to make housing more affordable and things like that.
Well, our current council has some good news, so we can share about the villas. Do you want to talk about that?
I was going to talk about something else.
Oh, okay. All right.
Who would like to start?
I know.
Sure. One of the things that I did a couple of years ago is I asked our city staff to actually implement a housing study. And that was in partnership with our general plan. If you've heard about that, that's actually going to be on the ballot for our voters to vote on. But the idea of the housing study was to understand what we actually need and where that housing should go and where we can have, whether it's workforce housing, affordable housing, attainable housing. So as Cicely had mentioned, we did open some affordable housing. I'll let somebody else talk about that, because one program I'm really excited about is that we are looking at taking our city-owned property and putting it in a community land trust. And what that means is that community land trust will then own the land, which takes away that cost of the land as a developer comes in and builds. We'll probably be going out for RFP fairly shortly to take a look at a builder and see what kind of properties they could build. They'll probably be maybe cottage, a little smaller, so that when a person comes in and buys that property, they live there for however amount of time. It would be a starter home, it's their home, but they build equity, so when they decide to move, they take that equity with them when they buy a new home. So we're really trying to find ways to get Chandler residents to build that American dream and build that generational wealth, and then that property stays in the community land trust, meaning the next person comes along and does the same thing. So we are creating potential home buyers in perpetuity. Just recently brought in some potential financial partners from the community to talk to our city management and see if they can find ways to get those loans to those residents in a different way, because it's always about being able to afford that. There are a couple of other programs that we're looking at with our schools that I think other council members talked about. I could go on and on and on, but I'm going to let some other people talk.
We're going to go in this direction.
Yeah, Jane talked about some future possibilities that we have going on, some very exciting things. And just to talk about our recent announcement of opening up of the Villa on McQueen's, which is an amazing, beautiful, modern complex that is part of our public housing authority there, which is about 149 units that we just opened up, and that's transferring about 70 plus residents that are from our older units that were built in the 1970s, have a lot of maintenance, they're older. We're transferring them over to this new complex here. We're going to be transferring seniors, veterans, everybody across the board is going to be entering there, and we're actually working on our phase 2, working on the funding for that, which is going to be Haven on Hamilton, which is going to be another 4-story. It's going to be 4 stories and then trickle down to a 1-story for our residents that are in the back that are single story homes back there, and that's going to bring another 250 plus units to the Public Housing Authority as well. Right now, on 8 acres, there's about 45 units that are sitting there. That's a lot of land that can be used, and now we're going to be building something that's 250 units more. So we're chipping away at the affordability and housing abilities here in Chandler. So it's going to take a little bit more time, but we have some great plans and some things that we've accomplished already.
There's not much more I could ask. I know Jane's been working on that real hard. She's been, one of our housing experts. But I'll tell you a quick story. Councilmember Poston and I were at an event a couple weeks ago. Zena, you were there. And we met this woman that was so excited that she had an apartment in this new complex. And she said to me, wow, I'm going to save $350 a month. Now I could eat. That makes it all worthwhile, folks.
Cicely, did you want to add anything?
Oh, gosh. No, I don't. We're all on the same page. Yes. Well, let me just say this. Sorry. My family didn't come from money. The only opportunity for wealth for my parents' generation was to purchase a home. And I know that the reality of that for my children is less attainable now. So anything that the city can do to create that opportunity for home buying or wealth is something that I would like to see happen.
Thank you. Any other questions? Oh, we do have another question.
Hi, I've actually lived in Chandler for 9 years, and I see the pros and I see the cons. What are your thoughts on flock cameras? I bet you, I was surprised nobody said anything.
Darn it, I thought we were going to get away with that.
Okay, curious.
I'll start since I'm not in deep like the council members are. Essentially, people are scared and they have a right to be. I also want to make sure that our police have the resources to be able to catch the criminals when they need to. I think moving forward, we have to do a deep dive into the contracts, making sure that there's accountability and transparency with them, that it's clear as day. And right now, we're not, or I shouldn't say me as a resident of Chandler are not seeing those answers yet. And I believe the council is fighting for those answers. And if those answers don't line up, then changes will be made.
Ms. Poston?
Boy, she just about said it all. To be very fair, I'm conflicted on it because I do see value. We had a horrific break-in where we had a couple of people beaten, and we understand that flock cameras were a part of finding the people that did that. They're hit and run. I mean, we hear the stories from our police officers or from the police department about the benefits of what those cameras can do. That being said, when we had that council meeting a couple of weeks ago, when I walked into the meeting, I thought that I felt comfortable and had been given the assurances that our residents' privacy would be protected. During that meeting, that feeling changed, and my opinion on that changed. And so I think what Cicely said is incredibly accurate in that I do see the benefits of it, but if we can't get those assurances that our residents' privacy is protected and that they can feel safe as they should, as I should, as everybody in this room should, then we can't move forward. I do hope that we get to a place, but we're just going to be doing the work over the next few weeks to try and see if we can get to a place where our community feels safe about this.
For me, I like to separate flock from license plate readers. And license plate readers have been very successful for our department in solving certain crimes, certain incidences. Is it the thing that is saving Chandler and keeping our crime rates to the lowest? Probably not, but it is helping in some instances. As far as flock, flock unfortunately has broken the trust and confidence in communities across the nation. And they have a lot of work to do. And that's the work that we are trying to work through with them and get answers to our questions. And it's taking some time. It's a very complex situation, things that, when we're going back to your question about AI, we're deep diving into these things that we had not known before, and making sure that our residents are protected and data is protected, that the city is protected. So we're making our way through that and getting all those questions answered. And like I said, we want to make sure that our police officers have all the tools that they need. Is this the main tool that they use? No, they've solved crimes before flock and license plate readers, and I'm pretty sure they'll be able to solve crime with or without them. So we're working through that process together as a council.
There's not much more I could add to that. It is, again, technology. Like simple questions like, why do you need the data for 30 days? If you could solve a crime, and if your statistics say that I could solve most crimes using this technology within 5 days, why do you need 30? These are the type of things that I'm wrestling with. And the longer you keep that data, obviously, the quicker it can be exploited. And that's really the issue, is it being exploited? And whether I trust our police department, and I said this publicly, I'll say it again, I trust our police department that they will use these tools properly. I can't say the same for other agencies. And that's the issue. So we are working through this. I'm trying to, my issue, look, I spent 30 years in the military. You learn real quickly, you act on fact because somebody can get hurt or die. And I've taken that philosophy, whether it's industry or even council. Give me the facts. There's a lot of issues out there. There's a lot of folks that have different, ideas of where we should be going. I want to drill deep down inside, find out what really is this technology. How do we put fences around it? Here's a good example. And I apologize, I'm trying to look you over there. A good example is they download software. When do you download the software? Do I have to give you permission to download software? See, these are the type of things that we need to start looking at, and don't just say it's not good, it's bad. Is it really? We have to encapsulate these issues. And we're having several meetings with Flock and other agencies over the next few months to get these deep dives. And I can look at you straight in the face right now. If it's not protected, if I don't feel my residents are going to be protected, I won't use that technology. I said that earlier, and I'll continue saying that. On the other hand, there was a break-in. 2 elderly couples were beaten up on Elliott Road. You've probably read about this. Flock was an answer. They found the assailants trying to cross the border in Nogales, and they would get their license plate. How do I weigh that? How do we all weigh this in this room? That's the issue we're facing right now.
Continuing on that subject, how do we protect that data here in Chandler for going against ICE and having ICE subpoena that and protecting our residents here in Chandler that are honest, good citizens?
That's a major problem. I mean, look at how do we protect all this data, whether it's outside agencies, internal agencies. It goes back to that AI argument earlier.
Do they have the right map to subpoena?
I can't answer that question. I just don't know. These are the questions I'll be asking, this council will be asking my colleagues. And if you watch that 4-hour, council meeting, a lot of these things are, I'm trying to separate the hyperbole from the facts. I know people are upset. I get it. I'm upset with technology too. I mean, really, this thing is a powerful device. But I don't want to just knee-jerk reaction. And I'll give you a good example. One of the council members that night wanted to shut off immediately. And as a warfighter, I say to myself, wait a minute, what if I was in the middle of an operation and you shut off my satellite system? All right, you want to shut this off? So let's take a step back. Let's take a look at this issue. Let's answer all those questions, and they will be answered. If not, we don't use them. That's simple.
One final question. We want to give everybody an opportunity. First of all, we want to give the candidates an opportunity to give closing statements, and they have information in the back, and so we want everybody here to have an opportunity to have a one-on-one conversation with the candidates.
Thank you. But to piggyback off of that question, I guess, is then why weren't those questions asked before Flock was put live and before it was being used? Like, it's nice to say, well, we got to ask those. No, we need to ask them before taxpayers are paying for a technology that's violating their privacy. Yeah. So walk me through that process. How did we implement and pay for something that we didn't ask those questions beforehand?
So the former police chief came to this council about a few years ago, and I'm giving an overview here. I don't want to go too much in details. And he said, there's this system out there called Flock. My police chief asked if we would buy the first 14 cameras, 12, whatever that number was. And we were having a problem at Galveston area. We were revitalizing that area. Brand new school, piping system, parks, recreation. This was a safety mechanism in what was being told to the council in order to help reduce crime in that area and beautify the area, make it work. Life goes on. I don't hear anything about Flock. I don't hear anything negative stuff. Again, I'm speaking for myself, positive, indirectly, nothing at all. My friend, I only knew about Flock because I voted to put it in the contract, right? Then all of a sudden, gyrations are happening. ICE is happening. Perhaps there's a different philosophy in the White House, and I don't want to get into the politics of that. But the reality is, now folks are demanding accountability. And the real question is not how we got here. I respect the question. We got here, we're here. Where do I go from here? And that's what I'm trying to wrestle with. Could I get rid of this tomorrow? Then I have police officers telling me it's helping them solve crime. It's helping victims say it solved the crime. So that's how we got here in a tangential, a very simple place. It was an experiment. Then they wanted to get hired by 12 more, and they wanted to combine contracts. And once they combined those two contracts to make it one, so again, it's only another year of contract on this thing. It's not like we've had it for 10 years now. We've only had it for a few years now. So that's where we're at right now. So we're going to work through this. That's how it happened.
And just to add a little bit on to what Matt is saying is we're not the only community that has been facing this. This has come to a head last year when these whole ICE situations were happening, and reports not even just about ICE, reports about other incidents happening in other states where data was being shared. So it started coming to a light, not only to Chandler, cities all across the country are kind of dealing with this same type of situation. And even for myself and other council members, we started asking questions back late last year. And we demanded questions, and we demanded for Flock to come in front of us to answer these questions a long time ago. So when that meeting came and they weren't prepared to answer questions, we had filtered through them prior, 5-6 months before. That's why we were very upset as well too, and adding additional questions. So they weren't prepared for that, and so we're trying to make sure that now we don't have a repeat of that, and they have a full understanding of where we're trying to go, what questions we need answered. So, yeah.
I would just say I went to a national event that worked with a lot of other cities, and I sat on this committee and saw other fellow council members from other cities in Arizona asking these questions of a flock representative. So when I came back, I actually called some of those council members, asked what some of the issues they were, because they were saying, you have this contract, but they're violating the contract. There are these issues around it. And so called those council members, talked to our police department again, who had that relationship with Flock. And I'll be very honest, I thought I had those questions answered. And I'm disappointed. I was very, very disappointed when that Flock representative came in and they sent someone that was, it was baffling to me. So I walked in as a yes because I thought that my questions about the privacy and the security had all been answered. And we'd been working on that, like Vice Mayor said, for months, and talking to other council members, reaching out to Flock and getting questions, talking to our police department and getting the questions. And then our police department came in and they brought that Flock representative, and that whole issue just crumbled right before our eyes. I got one answer from a city manager, and then immediately the Flock representative came up with something very, very different. And I'm like, well, wait, I was just reassured, but they sent somebody that just didn't have the experience, and it just happened right in front of our eyes that I personally lost faith. So, I think the answer to that is we're only human, and I really felt that I had done my research and done the best I could, and I went and I changed. When you learn better, you do better. So that's where we're at.
And I'll just say real quick that, like Jane said, everyone on this table is human for sure, and you don't know what you don't know. And that's why I think community engagement is so important, and I'm very proud of all of you for showing up here tonight and caring about your local politics, because when we have conversations with residents, they can also enlighten us. And so watching that from the outside, kind of happen, also thinking, oh, we have faith in our system. Well, our system disappointed us. And so that trust was broken, and so now we have to question it, and we have to go back to the drawing board to protect our residents. So I think it's super important that you continue to show up and engage and speak out to your council members. And I know I can speak for all of us that we will continue to listen.
Thank you. We will have each of you give your closing statement. Cecily, I'm sorry, Ms. Roca-Miller, we're going to start with you.
Please, great. That's just fine. Yeah. Thank you to Chandler Pride and everyone who has participated tonight. I know this is a difficult time for many people. There's a lot happening nationally, and many people are frustrated, worried, or feel like they aren't being heard. Those feelings are real, and they deserve to be acknowledged. Part of the reason why I chose to run in a nonpartisan race is because I believe local government can be different. I don't see Chandler as a collection of political parties, ideologies, or special interests. I see neighbors. I see families. I see people who may not always agree but care deeply about this community and what they want best for it. My goal as a council member is to not add to the noise. It is to bring people together, protect the community we love, and to focus on the issues that impact people's everyday lives. That's public safety, affordability, economic opportunity, strong neighborhoods, and a sense of connection to each other. Character counts now more than ever. How we treat each other counts. The ability to listen when we disagree counts. I have 3 more sentences. If elected, I will work together. I will work every day to be the kind of leader who brings people together rather than pushes them apart. Because at the end of the day, Chandler is more than just a city. It's our home. And taking care of our home is something we all have the responsibility to do together. I would be honored to earn your support and vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to thank Chandler Pride for hosting this, and I absolutely want to thank every single person in this room for showing up. I think your time is your most valuable resource, and so for you to be here tonight and take this election very, very seriously, I believe that municipal government is the most important level of government. And it is the one that we actually can put our hands on and affect. There isn't a person on this council that wouldn't respond to a phone call or an email or have a cup of coffee and listen to you. So I believe that good listening is good leadership, and that we need to make sure that we are learning and listening and making sure that our city reflects the needs and the wants of all of our community. So I really do appreciate you being here. My door is always open, and thank you so much for having me and listening, and I look forward to continuing the relationship.
Thank you.
Sharon. Again, thank you to everyone. Thank you to Chandler Pride for being here today. It's great to have you guys' participation and involvement. For me, I have worked very hard in the last 3.5 years directly with our community, and I'm hoping that I've met the expectations of our residents here. It's been a true privilege to serve the community that I grew up with and give back. And I work very hard in amplifying voices across our communities, including the LGBTQ+ community, our Hispanic community, our traditional neighborhood communities, our business community, our public safety, and most importantly, our youth, is engaging our youth in our local politics for our future. And for me, it's just, I'm wanting to make sure that people are able to find the leader within themselves, and I want to be that continued support system for them to be able to achieve that within our community in Chandler, to make it better for all of us. And over the last couple years, myself and my counterparts here and the rest of council have worked on achieving everything from lowering taxes, low crime, to investments in sustainability and emergency services. We've done so much work, and we need to continue that work, and I plan to continue that. I'm recommitting my work to reinvesting in our traditional neighborhoods, supporting public safety, supporting small business, and again, empowering the voices of our residents here. So like I said, it's been an honor serving our residents, and I'm proudly endorsed by our fire, our police, our business community, by our We Serve Association of Realtors. I'm endorsed by the Victory Institute, the LGBT leaders across the country, and now I'm asking for your continued support in leading Chandler in this next term. So thank you so much. You guys can find more at angelforchandler.com.
You know, I haven't started working to make your lives a little easier just because I decided to run for mayor. I've been doing this for many years. In fact, my focus has always been on municipality. I haven't jumped to other offices. I've stayed right here. I served this nation and state for over 40 years. I served on active duty in the United States Air Force, my Army buddy over there. Thank you. I served 25 years at Arizona Air National Guard. I earned an MBA along the way. I own my own small business. I have experience working in high-tech industry, as I indicated earlier, putting multi-million-dollar deals together. I served on the city council in the 1990, my first year, with Coy Payne, the first black mayor, not just of Chandler, but of Arizona. I learned a lot from that man. I served when this city was the fastest growing city for 3 years in a row. I served in the Great Recession of 2008. I served through COVID pandemic, and I served through past as well as the current economic inflationary times. Chandler came out of these events stronger and better prepared for the future, in part through my service and the elected officials that I served with. I'm ready, prepared to handle present day challenges. This election is about working with people, creating partnerships, transparency, listening to all before we make decisions. It's about keeping Chandler one of the best run cities in the country. But most of all, it's a little bit more about love and collaboration, a lot less hate and divisiveness. Chandler, you've trusted me to deliver for you by electing me 6 times to the city council. I am eternally grateful. Now I'm asking you to trust me again by electing me mayor on July 21st, so I can keep working for you and ensure Chandler delivers for our future. Thank you all for coming tonight, and I really enjoyed our conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of Chandler Pride, I thank all of you, the candidates, for coming to the forum this evening to share your views on issues important to the city of Chandler and to show your vision for the city's future. Thank you to all of you who made time tonight to come to this forum, to meet the candidates who want to represent you on the city council and hear their views and participate in this event. You will all have the opportunity to make your choices for who you want to represent you on the Chandler City Council and for mayor on July 21st, 2026. More information is available at the Chandler Pride table at the back, and I believe each candidate has a table set up with information, and I'm going to speak for all of them in saying they would be delighted to speak with each and every one of you. Thank you for attending tonight's forum, and safe travels home.